Continuing these questions, again, keep manipulating to get down to tan of x is equal to a number. So we want to find what the ratio is and then be able to find the angle. And then because we want to find the angle, we know we need to find the related angle. So what's the angle in the first quadrant? And then see what sign it is. In this case, tan's negative in the second and fourth. So our related angle, we take the inverse of root 3. Tan of root 3, tan of pi on 3 is equal to root 3. So because it's negative, it's in the second quadrant, so we take pi on 3 away from pi, gives us 2 pi on 3, and we take pi on 3 away from 2 pi, so it's going to be 5 pi on 3. That's when we do the subtraction. Where's cosine? This one with cosine, we need to manipulate it and take the square root of both sides, but it's a positive and negative square root. So again, because we're positive and negative, we're going to get all 4 quadrants. So we don't have to worry about the quadrants this time, because 2 of them will be positive, and the 2 quadrants give us a positive answer, 2 quadrants give us a negative answer. Our related angle is going to be pi on 6, because inverse cosine of root 3 on 2 is pi on 6, or 30 degrees, so we know that from our results before, our exact values. So in the fourth quadrant, well, there's our related angle in the first quadrant. Subtract pi on 6 from pi gives us 5 pi on 6. Add pi on 6 to pi gives us 7 pi on 6. And subtract pi from 2 pi, so pi on 6 from 2 pi gives us 11 pi on 6. So that's how we get all 4 quadrants, because all 4 quadrants are represented. Again, when we've got a quadratic here, because if we expand that out we get a quadratic, it's already in our factorized form. Each one of these can be equal to 0. So we take our first expression, set it equal to 0, sine of x is going to be equal to minus 3, we get no solutions there. Our second bracket, we set it equal to 0, manipulate it down to get sine of x is equal to pi minus a half. Again, it's negative, so sine, we're looking at the third and fourth quadrants for these two, and inverse sine of a half would be pi on 6, or 30 degrees. So we add pi, and here we got 2 pi and subtracting the pi on 6 there. Here's one where we start with a quadratic equation, and we need to factorize it. So we use our cross method, or any other method you like. If you want to do a substitution, you can do that as well. To get it down to the factorization of the quadratic equal to 0, 2 cos of x then would be equal to 0, or cos of x is equal to a half. Again, we're in the first and the fourth quadrant. Our related angle is pi on 3, which is in the first quadrant, and 5 pi on 3 is the subtraction of 2 pi minus pi on 3. The second bracket would come out to cos x plus 2, it's equal to 0. We have no solution, there's no value we can put in. The cos x will be equal to minus 2. Here's another one where we do have to do a little bit more manipulation, because we've got cos squared x and sin x. If we use our substitution here and use 1 minus sine squared x, we're able to manipulate our equation, get it back to a quadratic. 2 sine squared x plus sine x minus 1, where we do all our cleaning up here. Factorize to 2 sine x minus 1, sine x plus 1. 2 sine x minus 1, well, sine x would have to be equal to a half. Again, it's related angle is pi on 6, and it's in the second quadrant, so it's pi minus 5 pi on 6 to give us 5 pi on 6. Sine of x is equal to minus 1, and that only exists when it's on the bottom negative y-axis, or 3 pi on 2, which is 270. Keep solving the questions like we did in the prelim course, but instead of using degrees, everything's the same up to this point, except we're using radians instead of degrees.